We are live, and welcome everyone in the full episode of umbraCoffee. It's not a half this time; it's a fully qualified 119th episode of umbraCoffee.
For those that missed it this week, we did for the first time ever do a half episode on Wednesday. We announced that we were moving to twice weekly episodes, which is obviously untrue. It was April Fool's Day. And we had a bit of fun. I certainly enjoyed myself. We'll share a link below. But of course, today we're joined by Matt, a real guest, not pretend Mark. Hey, Matt.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Good to be here.
Yeah, I guess you've had a pretty busy week as well.
Pretty busy. Yep.
But for reasons we're going to come to.
Sure.
But I think first, let's start with the news that Niels has announced that he's opening a unicorn farm. Sorry, I'm still in the mind frame of our Wednesday episode. There'll be absolutely no more fake news in this episode, I promise. Today actually is there's an initiative going on from the Umbraco documentation curator team called UDAD.
UDAD. Yeah, let me show my screen. I will show it. Yeah.
Umbraco Documentation Appreciation Day, which is basically people on Twitter just sharing all the reasons that they love the documentation and the kind of evolution over time. A standout one was the Razor cheat sheet from V6, which I distinctly remember. In fact, I think I may even have a copy of it next to me somewhere. That was hugely valuable.
Yeah, pretty useful.
Yeah, and there's been a load of other stuff too about like just how the docs have evolved really over the past couple of years. I know that Jevon sharing the uQuery thing.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things which I also missed inside of Umbraco documentation. But it's great initiative because, as someone stated, people are not are not appreciating the documentation parts of the software, and we at least we should know how important it is when we are starting doing things when we are working with products. The lack of documentation or bad documentation can destroy our good feeling or good journey with the product and software, even if it's the best software on earth. So I really like it. I still didn't post any memories from my side, but I will do it later today.
Yeah, I've probably got a couple I can share as well. We're going to keep talking about docs, I think, because Matt's got something to talk about. But Sophie had a docs diary this week as well, didn't she? Where they announced this UDAD day, but also where they introduced the interns. The interns. I don't know why we're calling them interns. Bussa and Sophie were introduced to the world. Get to know a bit about them on the blog, which of course in the description below.
Yep. And it drives us to another great piece of documentation which we wanted to highlight this week. And as we have Matt here, Matt, can you tell us more about what you've been working on recently? And I'm sure I know that it was including the documentation part of the software you've released.
Sure. Yeah. So Monday we released our Vendr product, which is e-commerce from Umbraco V8. Woo! Yeah. So we've been working extremely hard on this, just getting things ready, getting the website there and looking good, and definitely documentation is a huge part of this. We've learned quite a lot about documentation. So I think when I did Fluidity, that's the time that I really invested in documentation, and it really paid off on that project. So for Vendr, it was an absolute necessity that we really focused on getting some rock solid documentation in there to make it much easier to kind of get to the information that you need. It was
not only have you clearly spent a lot of time on writing detailed and very clear docs here.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really nice experience actually navigating these docs. It's really clear. You can find stuff really easily. I know you tweeted maybe last week about the kind of powerful search you've got there that's powered by off-the-shelf thing. What's it called? Algolia, is it?
Yes, Algolia and their doc search. So I think with these docs, I learned quite a lot from an area in tech that I'm seeing really great documentation in is in the Jamstack world, where a lot of JavaScript-based things are just amazingly well documented. And that's where I learned a lot of things for this as well, trying to pull a lot of things. And I was seeing quite a few sites using this Algolia search. It was really powerful, really, really clever on how it predicts in your search what you want to view. And yeah, they've got a doc search add-on that's free to any public documentation.
Awesome.
And essentially you can write your documentation and then submit it to Algolia, and they'll scrape the website and produce that auto complete search. And it's just a really nice way of jumping across the site and being able to find what you need to get to. But yeah. I've seen that implemented on quite a few, like I say, Jamstack libraries, so things like Tailwind CSS as well, which is something that I use quite a lot. Vue.js, Gridsome, which is what we built this in, but they were all using the same techniques, and I thought it was a really powerful approach and logical approach.
That's super cool. And I not to add anything to your workload, but I'd love to see some kind of blog or something about that.
Yeah.
Ace.
We spent quite a lot of time in that, especially, so that whole site is static site generated using Gridsome and is deployed using Netlify, which I did give a talk about that kind of setup at, was it Dugfest?
Yeah,
I think. So I was talking a bit about that. And it's really powerful for this kind of stuff, especially with documentation. I think it's hard to get into the mindset to sit down and write some documentation. So I think you've got to get rid of as many barriers as possible. So for us on Vendr, our documentation is, the deployment is all automated. So we can write some markdown files, submit those to a repository that's on GitHub. So our documentation is all open source, so that other people can contribute as well if they want to. But any submission into that repository is just instantly compiled and statically generated, and then the website is just deployed. Really,
one less thing you have to worry about then, I guess.
Exactly.
I've seen some really cool documentations where people were even using their own JavaScript packages or frameworks to compile and run the code. So, for example, if their package was failing or was having a bugs, the documentation was also having bugs. So it was also another point of connections between software and documentation, because then you are forced to care about software and documentation as well, because if something fails, that means that your software is having bugs or something like that.
Documentation as a feature,
exactly.
as an additional thing on the side of the software. It should be considered as part of the product, really.
Totally. Yep.
You've mentioned the amount of work on Matt's desk, so maybe it's worth to say about another work item which you've released additionally to Vendr. And it's a checkout package. So something what you've mentioned on Spark, if I remember correctly, that you've been releasing it after the initial release of Vendr. And from what we saw, it has a really nice installer process. Can you tell us more about it? How have you accomplished this? What we can see on the animation here?
Yeah, so I think with Vendr, we've tried to follow a very similar ethos to Umbraco, which is the core product does its one thing really well, and that's what it focuses on, and that's getting you implementing that checkout process and being able to manage orders. But then we have extension points, and we want to introduce a series of different packages to add or provide you with kind of bolt-on functionality that not everybody needs, but you might want to use something like this. And the idea with checkout is, I think we see it quite a lot in other online stores as well, where you get to the checkout process and it kind of changes theme a little bit, but it's all clean, all functional, all streamlined. And we just thought if we could package up that element of developing a website, because that's actually quite a complicated point of the e-commerce system, just capturing customer information, validating it, updating the order, and kind of going through all the steps to checking out. It gets quite convoluted. So if we could wrap that up into essentially a mini starter kit, so like Umbraco starter kits It's exactly the same. It's just a little mini starter kit that installs, provides you with a bit of a template that you can configure, so you can put your logo on there, choose the color scheme so it matches with your particular site, and just give you that checkout experience in a drop-in mechanism. So as I say, that's got the whole checkout design and theme. So looks really nice, really simple. Comes with standard email templates as well. So even the email templates are there, and they pull in that configuration as well. So they'll show the logo and things like that. And just pre-configures a bit of Vendr as well. So yeah, it's what we're aiming to do with a couple of things. So this is the checkout. We'd like to do a cart kind of add-on package as well. So a nice JavaScript-y slide out shopping cart. So again, another thing that you just don't have to implement, or you can implement a lot simpler than core development. Obviously, you can do all of these things as well. So if you want a completely bespoke, looking exactly like your website, you can still do everything that you would expect to do in an e-commerce system. These are just nice little add-on packages for people that just want a really quick way of getting something set up and a checkout process in place. So yeah, it's what we're looking to do. More of that, hopefully.
I have one question here, if I can. Was it easier for you in V8 than in V7? This kind of, I don't know, modular approach with add-ons and maybe components for the package itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more in V8 that kind of helps all of this. So we, especially with Vendr, the core product itself, it took a long time to get head around the dependency injection stuff in V8, but we base quite a lot around that now, which I think is great, because once you understand that concept, or even if you don't need to understand the concept fully, you just know that's the entry point to a lot of things. We configure quite a lot around the dependency injection mechanism, and that helps make a lot of things really quite modular. Definitely things in the UI that have been cleaned up a lot more in V8, make it a lot more reusable. So yeah, definitely more componentizable in V8 than V7, I think.
I was also going to say the UI for in V8 kind of really lends itself to the complex product that you're building, but actually being able to bury a lot of the complexity. So you've just got a really simple initial configuration and like infinite editor to dive in and go deeper to do stuff. It just makes it far more dynamic, and the product looks incredibly slick as a result. Look, as you said, it should be as kind of as Umbraco-like as possible, and it definitely is. It doesn't really get in the way at all, does it?
No, that's one of our kind of strategies, or what we want people to think, really, that they look at it and they can't really see the seams, is what we're saying. Like, you don't move to one section and you go, oh, clearly this is like a different product. To us, it should be consistent across the two. So any kind of knowledge that you've built up about how Umbraco works can be, as much as possible, reused in Vendr as well.
I mentioned to Matt earlier in the week that I've already started a Vendr project, and it's a migration from V7 on some butchered version of Marcello, and we're going to move it over to Vendr. And with the client, we were talking about the features this week, and they've obviously not really seen V8 yet either, because they used to V7. And so the thing I said was, look, let's sit down and discuss where Umbraco ends and Vendr starts, so that you're clear on the separation.
Right.
They don't necessarily. It doesn't need to be like, oh, we need to go and build this. Well, Vendr can do a load of stuff, or we should be using Vendr to manage certain things, but Umbraco is much better for doing other bits as well. And because they're so harmonious, it's a little bit of a difficult thing to do, to actually see where the seams are, like you said.
But to us, that's a huge positive, because it also reduces duplication. So quite a lot of e-commerce systems, for example, would have a different products category or catalog where you manage all the product. So we end up seeing quite a lot of duplication of having to set up the products or set up something on the website, but then go to the e-commerce section to manage the products. Whereas we feel in Vendr, we're using Umbraco nodes as the product, so we get a lot of power with that. We get to use a lot of all the existing property editors and things we can use on our product nodes, no problem. But But yeah, you manage your products and your content in the content section, and you go to the commerce section to manage the orders that come through afterwards. So for us, it was much cleaner from a UX perspective doing it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do need to define the separation, that might be trickier for you, but we see that as a positive.
This is all really, really awesome, and like I said, I'm excited about getting stuck in with it. The $1 million question obviously is, what's next? What are you gonna be doing now?
Well, there's still a ton to do on the to-do list. Quite a lot of we've implemented a handful of payment providers so far, but there's more that we want to kind of recreate. So I think we're going to be a bit more selective over which ones we say will be core supported, because there were quite a lot in e-commerce that I think only 1 or 2 people were actually using. But we will be checking with people, seeing what's most popular, and we'll be creating more payment providers, more documentation. So we spent the entire of last month writing documentation, and I think that was an overestimation of how much I could have got done in a month. There's still definitely a lot more we can do on the documentation, but we do feel like we've got a solid foundation for easily adding more onto that in a logical way. So that's great. Extra packages, so we'll polish off the checkout, get that out, get the cart one built, and there are quite a few features that we still, or not quite a few, but a handful of features that we had to kind of miss out from T-commerce in terms of being feature comparable, that we do want to port those across. So we'll be looking at implementing those as well, and then whatever new features we want to, or what feedback we get really from people using it, see where they want it to go.
That's awesome.
It's a lot.
Huge amount of work.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you know what you need? You need some documentation interns.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like I said, it's the documentation's all open source, so we're more than happy to accept PRs.
Very
but definitely you need more people using it. That's for sure, and it will help to get the issues and possible features requests and stuff like that. And you have a newsletter on the website, so people can sign up and be updated with anything new coming to the product.
Yeah.
So we can definitely link it up, and people can hopefully sign up and be up to date for the product updates from vendor side.
Cool.
Awesome work. But we've mentioned Umbraco a lot, and the line between, and possibly you are also monitoring everything what's coming from Umbraco side and updates and everything like that. And we had a big update this week, which we kind of mentioned earlier. It's Umbraco 8.6, right? And it's a big release. I can't remember the exact number of features.
The screen is really blurry.
I don't know what's happening. Is it the quality or something? I will try to remove it and add it once again.
Yeah, who knows? I was whilst I was producing the notes for this show, I looked at the V8.6 release, and I'm going to coin it the media release, because pretty much every single thing in this release is about media. You've got media tracking, so that's working out on a media item on which content items that's used. That's hugely valuable. There's the refined media picker, which is just a couple of UX improvements. We've got content apps in membership. We've got custom validation messages, which are awesome. The thing that I'm most excited about is Azure stability. That sounds super lame, but it was a huge issue in V8 since V8.
We've been discussing it multiple times, right?
With file locking, and they discovered a whole bunch of things that didn't really work as the way they thought they would on Azure about locking files. So they've now put something in the database that means you can put a setting in the app settings to say, I want you to create locks in the database rather than at an app domain level, which is cool, and it's going to make a few of my clients quite happy.
Cool.
Plus a lot of other things like content apps for members and massive bunch of community contributions. And I've seen the Twitter threads as well that people were even highlighted for contributions which are not yet released, and the other way around. There were some additions which were not mentioned here. So a lot of things imported and placed within this release. And yes, we can just update and explore it on our own solutions. unfortunately without the V7 template, which we've mentioned on Wednesday. But yeah, that's good. That's great add-on, and people who are using deployment slots will be very, very happy with this update on Azure.
I love here. There's the little league table about how many PRs. If we just remember that, I think it may have been updated, but Ken. So before, Ken was actually behind Jan. Jan had done more contributions in this release than Ken, but it seems to have been corrected now. I mean, the stats from this: 130 out of 150 fixes and features were from the community, and 44 individual contributors. Whole bunch of first timers as well. So huge release from a community point of view, as well as all of that cool media stuff that HQ have given us.
Yeah,
awesome.
Great bunch of things, and people were also adding some new features and new packages from their side, and we wanted to highlight a couple of them. Full text search for V8 was released from Soren, and
it wasn't Soren. Soren's been pretty open on Twitter that it was all Stefan who did all the work for this. But yeah, another great release.
Yeah, that one is new. Also, there's a package from Lars. He wrote a blog post about how they are using it in their company for years, since 2016. And right now it's beta released as a package, and it's a content list editor for working with queries, paging, and stuff like that around grid editors, which is really cool. And there was also a Tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle. I love this name. I didn't even know this was a package. This is a V8 update of a V7 package, a tag editor called Tagliatelle. That is
sweet.
Honestly amazing.
Yeah, but
naming things is hard, but that's good.
Yeah, it's ported work from the tag editor, which was released for V7, so it's a new for V8 release this time. Yeah, great work. And that's from the packages side. And we have some. I have some company here. Callum, lead over. I'll need to handle something.
Awesome. Yeah, so as we said, lots of packages this week, but community activity is still thriving, even in relatively locked down times. I think we've seen the first virtual meetups this week. I've not personally dialed into any of them. Did you? I guess you've been a bit busy.
No, I was meaning to log into the Leeds one last night, but I missed it.
Yeah. So there was a. Let me just share my screen. There was this week. Oh, Marcin's back. Cool. There was the Umbraco Leeds meetup, which Paul Seal did a talk about his 10 V8 top tips. And it was live streamed on YouTube. It looks really slick. I think they had a few problems with some random unwanted guests. Yeah, joining the Zoom at some point. But that was really cool. And the Edinburgh meetup also did theirs earlier this week too. They've been pretty busy. We had coming up. We've got a couple of interesting new-ish events. London's obviously doing their virtual meetup, but I think a few others are going to be too. But the Candid Contributions team had an awesome announcement as part of their episode at the start of the week. They've moved to twice weekly. Oh, sorry, no, weekly. They've moved to weekly. They were every 2 weeks. They had their new episode about change and adapting to the kind of current environment, but they announced as well there's going to be a hackathon. They're going to run a virtual hackathon in a week's time, I think it is.
I don't know why this website is not working for me, but there is an attending IO event which we can sign up to.
Firewall of Poland is blocking it.
Maybe. Or I'm using some weird, crazy VPNs now. I don't know.
We'll share the link, but the goal is they're going to have a virtual hackathon set up where people can contribute to Umbraco CMS or to the our Umbraco project. They'll have a bunch of issues there ready for people to get started. So a nice way of maybe if you're a first-time contributor getting involved. It's cool that they've expanded their I don't know, brand to it's not just the podcast. They're doing community events as well now, which is ace.
Contributions in all senses.
Yeah, exactly. I'll probably try and attend. I think it's on a Saturday, so convenient.
Does anybody know what day it is anymore? Anyway,
this is the only thing that reminds me of what day it is, and even then, we still wake up and go, "Oh, it's Friday."
That's true. But yeah, it's good to see a lot of other community initiatives, and people can contribute and use this time and days for other things than just work. And Umbraco also released a lot of blog posts and series about what they are doing and what they are planning to do as well. And there was also an update from released on April 1st, but it was true. So there is a lot of updates for gold partners as well, such as contributing gold partner badge for companies who are not only gold partners, but they are also supporting and I don't know, using their resources for helping Umbraco in general as a contribution parts around the various areas, not only the code, which is a way of highlighting partners and maybe making them more proud of their work and support for the Umbracan community. But from the other hand, Ilham and Anders Arnold are also doing a lot of Arnold, of course. They are doing a lot of thinking and planning around what they can do as a company to support various areas of community. And there is a great blog post of what's happening and what's going on, and we predicted some future, right?
This blog post came out about 2 hours after our April Fool's umbraCoffee, where we said they're going to start a forum team and they are responsible for handing out karma points. And lo and behold, they're starting a forum team. Not it's around improving our Umbraco, but that was impeccable timing.
Yeah. But there's also something what I discuss with Ilham a lot. It's a speakers academy, and all of the speakers will be very happy because Umbraco also wants to help people in making better talks and prepare maybe topics and areas of expertise to share with other people. And there will be some initiative and help coming from HQ as well around this topic. And all the other websites, all the other updates, the batch is mentioned here as well. And of course, contacts to people who are behind that, and also update about events and festival. I didn't notice it earlier. Callum, do you know anything more about it?
This was announced before, I think. I'm not quite sure why it sprung up in the blog post. But yeah, next year, 14th, 16th of April, back in Chicago, US Fest is coming back, which is good. Hopefully, we won't be locked down still by then. I'll go insane, I think.
But it's good transition to events topic, because Umbraco also asked Busra to highlight the journey on Spark, and we can once again get back to events which we've attended or participated in, and we mentioned Spark as a last one, which was performed quite normally. And there is a great blog post highlighting all what happened on Spark from Busra's perspective, which is great. And also there was a picture of umbraCoffee with John's kid as well. So yeah, it's here. So if you want to explore what was there or what you've missed by not attending the Spark this year, the blog post is there. And product updates are the last thing on our list, because also we were having a lot of updates from Umbraco. Package team released the status update, and Jesper released a lot of interesting stories about what's happening, what happened, and what's next from the package team perspective. And the general product update also was released this week.
And a lot of the security fixes that are happening, some work on cloud and forms as well. I think there was a forms release this week, forms 8.4. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put that in the notes. There was a forms release which fixes a couple of bugs. And we had a final one, which was the block editor, RFC. They're actually progressing. I was talking with a few people on Slack this morning about if there's a public branch, and I couldn't find one. So I think it's still secret, but I've seen it with my very own eyes that there is a block editor that works and looks quite slick. So it'll be cool.
Cool.
That in public soon.
Yeah, and we were still not talking about Bento yet that much, which is another block editor for V8. But it's all happening. It's all being released and worked on, and it's great to see that. And we will probably see all of that as a part of Umbraco Awards show, which is still happening. And that's another reminder about submissions. And Matt, you will be probably also submitting something from your side. Any small package you've done recently?
I haven't had time for small ones. We would have submitted a web project that we did, because we did UCI. I think it was a year ago, but because the event's over, we had to take the website down.
I think, as unfortunately, you can't submit commercial solutions.
I figured that would be the rule.
Yeah, but for anyone that's got a website, some awesome work, a package, anything that they want to submit, you've got till April the 10th. And on the 27th of May, just like Code Garden would have been, we can have a virtual Umbraco Awards ceremony.
Yep, and by highlighting projects based on Umbraco, we discovered, and there was an announcement about the COVID-19 Response Network project. Callum, you found it, and it's the story behind it is saying that it's built using Umbraco, so it's good to see Umbraco in the wild and used to help in those areas and those times which we are all facing right now.
Yeah, this was a team in the US as part of a hackathon. They basically built a website to assist people in the local community with coronavirus, and entirely on Umbraco 8. It looks awesome, and they're currently looking for some help. There's been a few tweets flying around to try and evolve this. So it looks really, really cool. It would be an awesome project to be a part of.
This loader was nice as well. So yeah, we can all contribute and we can all help. And again, one more initiative to use our time and efforts to help people using our Umbraco skills and skills built around Umbraco. And that's all from our list. It was a long list, Callum. When we were preparing it in the morning, it was not promising that the long list. I think like that. But yeah, it's good to see that people are more. Some I don't know if it's only my observation, but I see that people are sometimes more productive during these times. I don't know how it's working, but hopefully it won't be dropped by the situation change. Hopefully, which will occur one day. Cool. That's all. Anything to add, Matt? Anything from your side?
No, just go to vendr.net, have a look at Vendr, try it out. You can try it from there. But any questions, let us know. Or we'll be happy to help people out.
There's a demo site as well, isn't there? Like
try.vendr.net. So you can go on there, see our demo store. All the source code for that as well is on GitHub. So if you want to see how that's actually built and poke around the code for that, you can do that too. But yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. So thanks, Matt, for joining us and sharing the story behind Vendr. We'll see each other on the next Friday, hopefully with a bunch of or
this afternoon.
Oh yeah, we forgot about it again.
Yeah, we'll be doing another Friday bar. If you need to, we won't be YouTubing it, but if you would like to join, ping us a message and we'll send you a Zoom link and you can join.
So cool. See you there. Or next Friday. Thanks. Have a great afternoon and the weekend ahead. Cheers.
See ya.